Hello and welcome to Antimatter Garage. You've seen the title, so you know what this is about, and you have to forgive me if I'm a little off. It's super early in the morning here. It's like 9 o'clock or something. Anyway, I've got a game plan for the Subaru, and let me show you around. So I've had this car for about a year, and it's been sitting in the driveway the whole time. We've only put a few miles on it since I bought it really just to fix these other cars that were broken, and now that they're fixed, I kind of wasn't comfortable selling the car during the pandemic, and now we're starting to come out of it a bit, but time has taken its toll. There are all kinds of marks here on it, and I believe this comes off. We're going to find out how bad it is underneath here. Also, you can see how nasty these running boards down here are. Basically, the black's gone, it's all gray. I'm going to paint those, get it looking good. I have some ideas for how to make the car look better, some little trim stuff I can do, but I also intend to do some fixes, like, okay, bug. Here I think the clear coat's coming off, so I intend to take this down and paint this through here, put a new clear coat on here. There's a spot right there. And that was built up. It was built up with some glittery stuff, purple glittery stuff, and the dealer said he couldn't get it out, and I tried and I couldn't get it out either, but I noticed it was, because it was built up, I took some sandpaper and I took it down very, very gently, and I was really happy it was coming out, but I wasn't sure where the glitter ended and the seat began, and I think I went a little too far, and I wound up taking some of the color off. For me, step one is to get rid of all of this stuff, and there's a boatload more under the hood. You can see it's everywhere, but I have a shop vac, so I'm going to blow or suck all that stuff out of there. That's my R2 unit. I bought that when I was a child. Like, seriously, I worked at Sears when I was like 19. I used the employee discount to get that thing, and I've had it ever since. It's been great. Back when Sears actually meant something. Actually, back when Sears still existed. So I still got some stuff in here that I got to get out, but it's, I mean, you can already see a huge difference, right? Step one, done, or partially done. All right, next step is foamy wash. I got this thing. Comes with like a gun. For a couple Christmases ago, I guess, and I bought some the special soap that goes in it. It's really just car soap. Any car soap will work, and fill it up to here, and then add water. Okay, there it is, all the foam. Yeah, it didn't really foam much. I mean, there's some foam accumulating here. I kind of like the whole car to look like that, but I'm not sure any of them really foam that well, to be honest. And if they do, I doubt it's as much a product of this as it is a product of the soap that you use. But I just like the idea of it soaking for a bit. I'm going to use the 2-bucket method, whatever that is. And I do that because there's some people in the world who don't have 3 buckets. Next up, headlights. Here's a little tip for you. If you're ever taping off something like this, it's a good idea to tape and go all the way around like this in one direction, because that way when you go to take it off, a lot of times when you peel this, it'll all just come right off. If you do it like patchwork, then you got to go and like peel all over the place. So it's a top tip. Okay, I just discovered, I mean, I knew this all along, but it's kind of a secret. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you anyway that, so for this top seam, for instance, I could have just opened the hood. But I didn't want to do that because sometimes this stuff spatters, and I didn't want it getting in a nice clean engine bay. So yeah, let's go with that. All right, so I bought this DA polisher, that stands for dual action, at Harbor Freight. So I don't like it for 2 reasons. One, I got through almost the whole car before it broke, and 2, it's not flat here, so when you try and set it down without the pad touching anything, oh sure, Now it sits, but it wants to fall over, and then the pad can get into things and get dirty, and then that scratches the car and stuff. So it should be flat there. I'm not sure what that little screw thingy's supposed to be there for. It's not. It doesn't even turn. It's molded in. So anyway, yeah, you get what you pay for. I think it was $60. So really, I mean, $60. It's kind of a lot, actually. Oh well. I'm using one actually made for it called Plastics by Meguiar's. If you're listening, Meguiar, send me a boatload. And it really depends on how bad the headlights are. I recommend Chris Fix's video. If your headlights are really bad, you can actually use sandpaper. You use really, really fine sandpaper, and you keep bringing it around, bring it down, then you polish it, and then in the end you spray it with clear coat, and that really fixes them up. In this case, I'm just going to polish. So here's the before. Okay, and there's the after. I'm going to show you real time how I did this on the other side, because that polisher made really short work of this. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to put a few dabs on here. I don't know what was on here before. Maybe it went so fast because this had compound on it before. I don't know, but I think you'll see. I don't want to melt the headlight, which you can do. So I put it on its lowest setting. There you go. So I bought these stickers from a place called something stickers. I don't know. I'll put it in the description. Got a bad feeling they're not going to look real good, but I can always take them off. So here we go. Now we're going to find out how well I did, or how poorly I did. Okay, well, I'm pretty impressed. There's just a little tiny bit down there. And there's a teeny tiny bubble right there. They said to pop those with an X-Acto blade, and that they last for about 6 years. I don't know. I mean, I guess, from a distance it looks alright. Okay, I tried a little spot on the roof, and it looked really good. I didn't see any clear coat peeling off or anything, so I'm going to give a try to polish the hood. Okay, I wanted to pull it out of the garage to see what it sounded like out here, because what it sounded like. Yes, you see with your eye holes, you hear with your ear holes. Right? Anyway, I couldn't see what was going on in the garage. I could see that it was a difference, but I'm happy now that I brought it out in the sun that I can see all these little spots and things are gone after the polish over here. Now I can still feel some rough spots. I'm just really, really afraid of going through the clear coat, but it needs to be wiped down a little more. But it seems to be going very well. I can still feel a little rough, and I'm not sure if I should clay bar more or polish more. I think the clay bar just pulls stuff out. The polish literally just sort of sands it. And I got my oily hands all over it. But like a marked difference, right? I'm hoping that comes out on the camera. But it's super hot already, just pulling it out this long. So I'm going to put it back in and keep going. This is looking much better. Washed, clay barred, polished, and waxed. And look at that baby.
I can't see any of those spots anymore. There's just one up here, which I'm calling permanent. Funny, you can't feel it at all. But anyway, it came out great, and I'm so happy there was enough clear coat on there. I didn't have to worry about it when I just polished it. Oh, and by the by, when I felt it was rough, and you're wondering if you should keep polishing or clay bar is the way to go. I guess I didn't clay bar it well enough, and when I clay barred it, it got really super smooth, and then it polished up just fine. Polishing it, I was going it over again, and it wasn't really quite coming out. So, yeah, if you feel roughness, do the clay bar until you don't. You must have just missed something, and then do the polishing. By the way, I didn't show the process, but I did mention it. And if you've never heard of clay bar before, this is what it is. This is from Mother's, and it comes in a kit like this. It gives you a couple of clay bars. It's enough. One's about a car, but I find you can get a little bit more out of them depending. And what you do is, it also comes with like a lube. You have to use it with lube. And what you do is you spray the lube on, get it on everything basically. And what it does is it takes out that roughness. You just rub it on like this. Maybe you do it flat, right? Now I've already done this section, so hopefully not much will come off. But you can feel it. Like, I can feel it slides pretty easily. You should feel it catching when you first do this. Now it will catch if you go to some place that doesn't have enough lube, in which case you add a little more lube, right? But when it's got lube and it rubs smoothly, then you're done. And if you look, here you can't see it because this was already done. I'll tell you what, I'll do the bottom section. And when you get done, you can look and you can hopefully see that that's got kind of a brown. I'll put it in the sun. It's getting kind of brown. It's not the worst I've seen. And you just fold it over on itself and you keep going. I had a big scratch right here, almost a gouge. So I went ahead and filled it in with epoxy. I don't know if that's the right way to do it or not, but I think once I paint over it, it'll be better than if I didn't. I had some epoxy left, and I went ahead and glued. There's a big old honk down here. Whoever drove this thing before really nailed it. There's a hole here and a hole there. I put a little epoxy. I had some leftovers, so I put what I had in there. So the front of this vehicle is a crack here. Yeah, it's seen better days. I've pulled out these, and I've got one. I sanded it down because it had similar marks to this. I mean, this looks better now, but they're black. The plastic's actually black, and then they put this silver coating on it. And there were black pieces showing through on both of them. And I can show you one of them. Right here, you can see. And the other one was worse, and I went ahead and sanded it, but it left scratches in it, even though I guess I went too aggressive on the first one. So I used this high build primer to try and fill those in, and I'll show you that right now. So this is after one coat, and you can still see scratches here, but it's only one coat. So I think if I do one or two more of the high build stuff, and then I do silver, and then I do the red on it that I want to do, I think it'll be okay. We'll see. Alright, so there's the silver one painted, but I think my wife likes the brighter silver better than that. She thinks that looks dull. I'm ambivalent. To be honest, I don't like the way this came out, though. It's really bad. So a little warning, word of warning, if you use a high build primer, it gets almost fuzzy, and you can see that in the silver here all over. It just doesn't look glossy, nice, or just even. So yeah, definitely do the sanding. And it said to wait a couple hours to do sanding. I got impatient, so I thought, well, I don't need the sanding. I'll just paint and we'll see what happens. And that's what happened. So bad idea. So I'm going to sand this, and we're going to take a different tact. We decided to just black it out. So when I paint these bumpers down here, I'm just going to paint those as well. And I'm going to paint the grill black. So it'll be murdered out. I just finished this wheel, and I torqued it on, and I've mentioned this on my channel before, but I want to say it kind of as often as I can. If you torque the wheel on when it's on the ground, you're not torquing anything, really. It needs to be up. So, yeah. Otherwise, you're putting pressure on that, and the torque spec is just off. So make sure your wheel's in the air, get somebody to step on the brakes for you, and torque it that way. Anyway, this one's kind of done. I think it looks pretty cool with the two stripes. And it's probably hard to tell because it's dark in there, but I painted the caliper. And I think, kind of cleaned the wheel. It's got some stuff on there. I think it's going to look good. So 3 more to go. The dealer I bought this Subaru from seemed like a really honest guy. It's very rare I get good vibes from a car dealer. But he told me he had the axles changed out, and I believe him because this nut looks very new to me. And also, I found an error here. They're supposed to stake this when they get it done, which means after they torque this nut down, you take something, a drift or something, and you bend it in here so that it can't back off. It needs to be torqued down properly and then staked. So I'm going to do that right now. 162 foot-pounds according to a YouTube channel I saw, Mr. Subaru 1368? 13 something. I'll put a link in the description. And then I'm going to stake that thing. So I saw the Subaru guy do this, thought it was pretty clever. He put oh, that's a punch. You put the punch in there, and then you can put this on there and turn, and it holds it from turning. So I did 162 foot-pounds on this side as well, and now I'll just use this to bang that in like I did the other side. And another thing about torquing wheels on, you're supposed to add 5 foot-pounds of torque for every 6 inches of extension you have. I guess that accounts for the twist in the extension. So prepping to spray the front bumper. Well, I think it's looking pretty good. Well, I'm at a stopping place as far as the painting and masking off and cleaning goes, but check this out. That looks so much better. No more cloudy gray black. It's all one color now. Time to do these some struts. These are in pretty bad shape. You can see there's all kinds of goop all over them, and oh, looks like I'm gonna have to vacuum here too. Woo, it's a lot. Anyway, this has been needing to be done for a long time. And guess what? Guess where these are made? I'll give you 5 seconds. 3, 2, Mexico! Mexico, can you believe that? I'm appalled. Where's my cheap Chinese crap? Now, let's see if it shuts. Well, it didn't seem to crush anything. Let's see if it opens. Make sure it doesn't hit the roof. Okay. Simple. Man, I didn't realize how much covering it was going to need just to paint off these tape off these black parts here, but I already removed a whole bunch right here. I should have just used the whole sheet of plastic that I bought, which I will do when I do the clear coat on everything. But it's starting to come out pretty nice. I went ahead and painted these areas. I'll let it dry and get it out. Up here on the bars. Okay, it's time to tackle this. This is new territory for me because I've never really done any kind of body or paint work. I just leave that up to professionals. But the way I see it, I kind of don't have much to lose here. It looks pretty bad, and it's going to get worse, of course. And I figure if I mess it up, it'll look pretty bad. And worst case is I pay someone to do it right, and I could do that now, or I could give it a shot. So either way, the end result would be paying somebody else to do it. So I don't see any reason why I shouldn't do this and learn in the process. I've watched a few YouTube videos, so I'm already pretty much an expert. But honestly, the principle looks pretty sound. You just basically sand this down, and I think I'm going to take this line. I didn't want to. I wanted to just go here and do a little bit, but you can see some of the paint's coming off in this area too. So here's the result. I know that there's a lot of glare there, so it's kind of hard to tell. I'll just get a different angle. But what impresses me the most, I think I got really lucky that these are on 2 different planes, because you can never see them kind of at the same time, and it's a close enough match where it really just looks stock. I'm pretty happy with it. There are some little errors, but it's my first time ever doing this. Okay, I've moved on to the next step, which is the interior. And so I've pulled out all of the floor mats. Those are definitely aftermarket floor mats, which are super cool because you don't worry. They're all rubbery, so you don't worry about getting them messed up. Except these are way too small for the back, so I don't know what car that was made for, but it wasn't this one. But you can see there's a lot of junk here in the back. I was hauling stuff, so I've got my R2 unit out. I'm gonna suck all that stuff out and clean things up nicely. I've put this on my channel before, but because nobody really watches my channel, I'm just going to do it again. So I vacuumed this, and it may be difficult to tell that I vacuumed it because I'm going to get close here and hopefully, yeah, it's on camera. So you can see these pieces, they have a tendency to hang on for dear life, and you just can't, no matter how many times you run over them with the vacuum, they don't come out. If they're hairs, like these guys here, and we own a cat, which is wrong in many different senses of the word, you can use one of these. I don't think these are very common anymore. I think these were sort of old days kind of thing. It's a sort of a, I don't know what that is, like some kind of funky felt fabric that's pointed in one direction. So if you wipe in one direction, it takes it away, but if you wipe in the other, it leaves it behind. That's how you get it. That's how you clean the brush itself. And it does an okay job of picking up that kind of stuff. And the cool thing is, you don't, once you own it, you own it. You don't have to buy anything else, which is kind of cool. Unlike these, which works better, which is, you know, it's a cat hair thing, and it's just basically tape. So if you don't have one of these, which makes it easy, you could just take masking tape, I guess, and run it, stick it all over the place, right? But I'll show you how that works as soon as, in a minute. Okay. I'm going left-handed here, but you can see this stuff, right? So now I'm just going to take the cat hair thing. And it still doesn't quite get everything, but it gets it a lot better than it did with the vacuum, and you might go back and forth depending on how anal you want to be about this. But yeah, just a top tip for you there. Here's another little top tip if you really want to go that extra step. I learned this when I actually had the car professionally detailed. If you take the vacuum cleaner and go one direction and then step over and go the other direction and repeat that, you'll get this really kind of cool striped effect. It's yeah, it's just a nice little extra touch, I think. So I never did a before shot of the interior, I don't think. I just showed the spot down here, which I've decided to let the next owner take care of. But you can see it's pretty decently clean. I cleaned up the floor mats, which are aftermarket anyway. The interior's always been pretty clean, especially for its age. All I did was, you know, spiff it up, vacuum it, that sort of thing. And I'll show you the back, just to be complete. Yeah. To get the back wiper off, I think each one has its own design, but in this case what you do is you basically fold it back on itself and then it comes off. My new one, though, as you can see, is a little bit different, so I'm going to have to find the right adapter that came in the packaging. Alright, so it only took me 10 hours, but I finally figured it out. You put the top one in first, and you'll feel it go in, and then you just kind of pull until, and the other one, the back ones will go in, and then now it's on there, so that's good. Also, lately they've been putting these blade protectors on there, so don't forget to take that off. I almost didn't notice it the first when I did the front ones. There we go. All good to go. I think it just looks so much better. The red accents I have mixed feelings about, but I mean, it's just shinier. The bottom where the black is all black now. It's not cloudy anymore. I kind of like the red around the fog lights. As you can see, the front bumper, I did everything I could. It's just, honestly, if I were buying this car to keep, I think I'd just replace the front bumper. But all the ickiness is gone. I painted almost everything black that was black. I painted this here and these here on both sides. The roof racks. Oh, got a piece of tape left on the roof. And of course the bottoms. I think it's just in much better shape than it was when I started, and very sellable now. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope that helps somebody. I think it just goes to show what you can do with a car that maybe doesn't look so good with a little bit of elbow grease and some rattle can paint. And on a side note, I sold the car for $700 more than I paid for it. So, win.